So real quick for folks, the purpose of the meeting tonight is to provide an update on the Swindell Bridge rehabilitation project, design and construction, and then answer any questions and receive feedback on in-progress project details. Some of you were already here for the public officials portion of the meeting, so this presentation will look very familiar, but we're happy to answer additional questions as well. The unwritten purpose of this meeting that is also here is we heard from the last Swindell Bridge meeting last spring that folks were interested in connecting with other city resources. So we brought representatives from the Department of Public Safety, city parks, the mayor's office. Our youth coordinator Caldwell is back here to talk about the Learn and Earn program. So after the meeting, if folks are interested in any of those resources, I would encourage folks to meet with them. So we'll move into the agenda. We'll do a brief welcome and introductions. I'll provide some meeting norms and a safety overview. I'll hand it off to the project team for the project overview, the anticipated work about the new bridge deck, the anticipated construction schedule, the vehicular detours, next steps, and then we'll move into question and answer, and then, like I said, the resource fair. And we'll also have food available after the meeting. Want to be cognizant of folks who may be celebrating Ramadan, which folks will be fasting until sometime after sundown. So just holding that food until after the meeting. I'm joined by my colleague Paul Scott, myself, Jan Rather, Laura Tsutsui is running Zoom. We're also joined by Joe Plummer, Deputy Chief Engineer for the city, Zach Workman, Senior Project Manager. We've also got Council President Lavelle and Councilman Bobby Wilson in the house tonight, so thank you both for showing up too. And I'll let the project team introduce themselves when they come up. So real quick, some meeting norms. Just want to emphasize this for folks here. First and foremost is your physical and psychological safety. So I'll have a little bit about safety while we're here real quick. Want you to listen to learn. So, so that you can leave this meeting with some new information and share it with your community. If there's anything you disagree with, we ask that you do so respectfully, and we'll treat you all with the same respect. Appreciate any differences in the room, be open to new ideas, and I think most importantly, being present so that you all really gain something from this presentation tonight. So real quick safety overview for folks. If you're in the room, the best exit is probably out the back doors here. I think there's also exits this way. First aid kit, there's one in the kitchen around the corner here. There's also an AED around the corner if anybody were to need that. My colleague, Laura Tsutsui, is CPR certified, but if anybody in the room is having a medical emergency, you can let me know. We're also joined by members of the Pittsburgh police who I'm sure would step in before we're able to call 911, I would hope. And if I have a medical emergency, I hope somebody would alert the right people too. For folks on Zoom, I don't know how many we have, but if you could remain muted, raise your hand to ask a question, or if you want to use the chat function, you can let Laura know and she'll alert me and we can ask the question in the room. So with that, I'll hand it off to Zach to talk about the project.
Okay, thank you all for coming out. I'm Zach Workman. I'm a senior project manager in the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, DOMI for short. I work on a number of all of our city bridges, and at the moment, I've been working closely on the Swindell Bridge since I started at the city in 2019. It's one of our largest bridges. I think it's the largest span we have. It's certainly one of our most high-profile bridges. And access is really important because of how the steep hills on one side of the bridge really limits access to the neighborhoods, and we're always working closely with our folks at Fire Station 38, making sure that they can continue to service the north side and working with PRT, trying to minimize disruptions while doing bridge maintenance. So just a quick background before I hand it over to our design team to talk about the project ahead. Just wanted to familiarize ourselves with the bridge, which of course we are just up the hill from it today. A little background, the bridge was first constructed in 1930, so it's 95 years old. It is eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. Bridges can be historic, and that does guide the design process, as the team will discuss in a little bit. The most recent rehabilitation was in 1990. So that means we're about due for another one, as you can probably tell as you're using the bridge. You know, we've been out there the last 3 or 4 summers now, repairing different steel beams underneath the deck and repairing the deck. We recognize that this has not been comprehensive. We've got, there's a lot more to be done, and you'll see that this upcoming project will address all of these concerns. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick Burdett from HDR. They're the lead consultant for the project.
Great, thanks, Zach. Yeah, we're excited for the opportunity to share a little bit about this rehabilitation project. I'll say a little bit about the existing bridge and then our plans to rehabilitate it. So thank you all for joining us here tonight. For those who are familiar with the bridge, you know that the cross section looks like this is shown up here on the screen. So we have 2 12.5-foot lanes, and for pedestrians who are using the bridge, we have 2 sidewalks which are up a bit higher than the roadway and kind of tucked behind the concrete barriers you can see there. The existing sidewalks are about 4.5 feet wide, so if you're using them, you know, maybe it's a little challenging to pass somebody as you know, if people are coming in 2 different directions on the sidewalk. But that's the existing cross section of the bridge. And of course, the reason we're here tonight is because you know, that bridge definitely needs this rehabilitation project. So the bridge is safe. It's open to traffic now. But it does have some ratings that lead us to the recognition that it needs to be rehabilitated. So you can see here the overall bridge superstructure, which is the elements above the bearings, like the steel trusses and everything up above that, is rated 3 out of 9. So that's considered a serious condition. And the bridge deck is in poor condition, rated 4 out of 9. As probably everyone here has driven across the bridge, I don't have to talk to you about spalls and exposed rebar. You know, it's been patched, but the deck, you know, definitely is reaching the end of its useful life. We have some leaking joints, many of which have been replaced, but have leaked at various points in their life. And the drainage system, you know, there's plastic pipes that take the water from the bridge deck down to the ground, and many of those are leaking, which results in corrosion of the steel and the need to fix that drainage system. I'm sure you're aware that it's currently restricted to 1 lane, so this photo down here shows a restriction. There's some barrier just over one portion of the bridge because one of the floor beams, which are members that run across the bridge, it has some deterioration over on the left side. So just keeping traffic off of that portion of the beam, traffic is restricted down to this 1 lane to be able to remain open to legal loads, which it is today. So the purpose of this project, you know, what do we want to do here? In a nutshell, we're going to bring the bridge back to full working order for all modes of transportation. There's an official statement down below. So as part of the federal process for rehabilitating a historic structure, we have a purpose and needs statement. And I'll just highlight the last sentence there. We're very aware that this bridge carries many modes of traffic, and all of those need to be accommodated by the new structure. So just walking through the major scope of work, the main items that we're going to do as part of this rehabilitation. The first is to address that deck. So we're going to replace everything on the top of the bridge that you see when you cross it. So we'll replace the deck where the cars drive. We'll replace the sidewalks, the bridge barriers, the deck beams. So that's they're called stringers, the steel beams that run along and support the deck. Those will be replaced, as well as the lights along the top of the bridge. We'll also repair any of the deterioration on the steel below the deck. So the truss and the different members will be repaired, and we'll repaint the entire structure. So quite a paint job, but we'll seal that and protect it so we have a paint system that's going to last for decades. There's 5 bridge supports that are shown here encircled in red, and we'll address any issues at all of those locations as well. There's some deterioration at various elements, spalling concrete and a few things that will all be cleaned up and rehabilitated. We'll also replace that drainage system with steel pipes that will not leak. And then finally, we're going to have some tie-ins. So the bridge deck will be raised about 6 inches to be able to make it a little thicker and put down a modern bridge deck. And so we need to tie that back into the roadway on both ends. And so you can see the areas at both ends. There'll be some paving, probably some new inlets, and work to just tie everything together so it's a smooth transition from the roadway to the bridge. So this is the new section that we're planning, and you can see the main difference is the wider sidewalk. So we are planning to widen the sidewalks on the bridge to 8 feet as opposed to the 4.5 feet that they have now, are presently on the bridge. So that should just provide additional space, especially movements where maybe you're passing somebody. You can see a bike on the one sidewalk there, and just give a little more room on those sidewalks. We'll also be adding handrails on the back and be putting in modern open steel barriers that will replace the concrete barriers that are there now. The roadway should stay about the same, still 12.5-foot lanes, very similar to what is out there today, but no potholes. So to do all of this work and completely replace the deck, obviously that is a significant undertaking that is going to influence the bridge's use. And so because the bridge is so narrow and so high, we do have to have a full vehicular closure during that deck work. So we'll be detouring vehicles during the replacement of that deck. We recognize how important the bridge is for pedestrians, for access to bus routes and things, especially on the western side of the bridge. And so we will plan to keep one sidewalk open at all times so that the bridge can still be used by pedestrians. And the way we are currently planning to replace this deck is in 2 phases. Obviously, the fewer phases you do it in, the faster you can get in and out and get the work done. And so we have it down to 2 construction stages. We're going to replace about 2/3 of the bridge in the first phase. You can see the rectangle here shows the work zone where we'll remove the old sidewalk on the one side and most of the deck. You can see we plan to put up a barrier that protects pedestrians from the work zone so that pedestrians can continue to use the one sidewalk during that work. Phase 2 will be faster, just to doing the last third of the bridge, shift pedestrians over to the wider new sidewalk and finish out the other side of the bridge. So place in the new sidewalk and finish the bridge deck to complete the whole thing and open it back up to traffic. So, while the bridge is closed, we'll have a posted vehicular detour. These are still being developed, but, the posted detour would need to be able to accommodate trucks, and so that would probably be a little longer than a local detour that just cars can use. So this is one leading option for a possible detour here, sending traffic down across the interstate on East Street, up to 19, and then back down to the other side of the bridge. So that's one route. Possible detour route that could be posted, and those here locally would know that there are definitely faster routes, so this is a shorter local detour that is more appropriate for cars. So schedule, where are we at and where are we headed? So we started preliminary design this past summer, so the summer of 2023. We were brought on board and began preliminary design with our design team, and our subconsultants, and the environmental process as well began. I shared, or Zach mentioned the bridge is historic, so there's a very specific federal process that has to be walked through as part of rehabilitation of a historic bridge. And so we're marching through that process, making sure we're doing that properly as we evaluate these changes to the deck. Here we are, winter of 2024, in our first public meeting. And we're going to roll right out of this into continuing preliminary design. So we'll continue to close out preliminary design, figure out basically the scope of work, all the details of what we're going to do, and then plan to start final design, which is the last phase of design, in early 2025. Be producing our plans and specifications, finalizing our repairs, and then advertise the project in the summer of 2026 to contractors. So have a full plan set that can be bid out, and get a contractor on board to start work in the spring of 2027. So we see this project going from 2027 to 2029 for the rehabilitation work. Our next steps, as I said, are just continuing with that preliminary engineering and environmental process. Taking feedback that we get tonight and rolling it into that process as we continue. As we get closer, we'll refine the construction timeline, we'll refine the detours. We still have a lot of work to do before we can get this project out on the street to a contractor. So we'll have a tighter understanding of the construction timeline once we get a little further along in design. But right now, anticipating advertisement of the project there in summer 2026. All right, so that's just a little overview of the project, and as Jan mentioned, we welcome any questions on the project.
One is, are they going to keep the fence on the bridge? I didn't hear anybody mention the fence.
Okay.
And will the road be made out of concrete or will it be asphalt?
Question about the fence and
what the road will be made of.
So the existing handrails on the bridge, you might notice they have kind of a fleur-de-lis pattern on it. Those will be removed and restored and repaired and painted and reinstalled on the bridge. And then we will have the higher fencing on the outside of that. That's a necessity for a bridge over the state highway. And also for the height, provide a little more sort of comfort for those walking at such a high elevation. And the bridge deck will be concrete when it's finished.
Any other questions?
Oh. How long the project lasts?
Yeah. So the question is how long the project is going to last.
Sure.
Yeah, I could just pull up the slide that shows it all, but the construction is about 2.5 years. Wait, am I going the wrong way? Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. So here's the full slide. So we anticipate start of construction in spring of 2027 and completion in fall of 2029. Yes, yeah, fall of 2029, correct.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, the question was, why is the bridge still open? So the bridge...
Yeah, so the question is why the bridge is still open?
Yeah. The bridge is safe. So the bridge is restricted to one lane in one location, but the bridge is open and not posted. It's inspected every 6 months, and we've done a full analysis of the existing bridge. Yes, so I'll go back to a photo of the barrier. So yeah, it's called a a floor beam. So it's a steel beam that goes across the bridge underneath of it. So there's just one right here that has some deterioration on this side of it over here. And so, you know, we've carefully looked at this and found that if you keep traffic off that side, this side is adequate. So this restriction is to avoid posting the bridge, where we would have to reduce the amount of weight that the bridge can take for 2 lanes of traffic. So that's. Oh, this the question was, are we going to repair it and not replace it? So this rehabilitation project will take care of all of this. It's going to repair everything. So the bridge will be open, both lanes, no issues as part of this rehabilitation.
Correct. So when the project finishes, it will be better than when it opened in 1930. It'll be. Correct. Right. The bridge will be repaired. So the question was, if we close the bridge today, would construction be able to start any sooner? So, can you jump to the slide with the staging? So essentially, the bridge will be fully closed to vehicle traffic for the duration of construction. Because of how narrow the bridge is and the types of repairs planned, the contractor will be working in the zone in red, which will prevent any other vehicles from using the bridge. So they'll have so much equipment of their own out there as in one spot while they're working adjacent, and so there won't be any room to maintain traffic. We are at the moment projecting to maintain sidewalks, one sidewalk at all time during construction. The question is, when does construction start? And we're currently looking to start construction in spring of 27. So the question is, why does construction not start until 2027? And the reason is the amount of engineering and environmental reviews that go into getting us to that point. As mentioned, the bridge is historic, so we have to do our due diligence showing that we are being appropriately rehabilitating the structure. And also, it's a complicated structure, so there's thousands of hours of analysis that go into the actual staging. You know, every single step of the way, the bridge has to be modeled. And so there's a remarkable amount of work that's being done between now and when construction begins. We'll jump over to this side of the room. So the question was, will there be jobs for nearby communities during the construction project? I think that's a great idea. I see Laura taking some notes here. And so that's something that we'll look into. I know that the process, the project, once we have a complete design, we advertise to contractors. A project of this scale will attract major contractors from the greater Appalachian Great Lakes region. But it would be great to find a way to incorporate local labor.
Hey, you put the project out for bid, bid process that whoever is the contractor, they engage in community benefit agreement with the community. You make that part of the contract section. Then it don't be no problem. Figure the thing. I'm saying, like, make it part of the bid process, so the community is guaranteed to get a piece of that.
So the comment is to make part of the bid project to incorporate,
Bid is part of the acceptance of the bid.
right,
The contractor has an agreement to engage or be engaged in community benefit agreement with the neighborhood.
yeah, I think we can look to see how to best incorporate that. We are working, this project has state and federal oversight, but I think there should be opportunities to incorporate these kinds of local programs. So I think we'll have to see how we can incorporate that, but I agree that it should be a priority.
When they first came here, I love everybody. When they first came here to tell us about the Swindell Bridge, the first time they were working on it, that question I asked, the same thing, there were jobs available for people in the community. What they said was they had their own flag and stuff. So would it be the same way, or you looking into helping us get jobs too? When it first came here, I asked my very first question, when the people in the community get a chance to be flaggers down there in help out, they said they had their own flag. So is this gonna happen again, having their own flagger, or we gonna get an opportunity to get a piece of it too?
Thank you. So the question was, the repairs last summer, how can, you requested to bring in local labor for that project. At that time, we had already secured a contractor for that work, and the contractor had already put on paper who they were hiring for that project.
So, okay, so when they did it down, that's that. So when you start this one, is there any way y'all can make it where people can get an opportunity to do that? Besides having a personal flagger, a personal contractor? We can be trained, you can put us in the class and train someone.
Right.
It's not hard. I'm just asking if we get an opportunity to help out too, not only the community.
Right. So I'm not personally familiar with how to do this, but I'll start researching this myself.
Okay. When can you get back to us and let us know what's happening?
Do we have a contact here from Housing Authority that can provide sort of a liaison? Okay.
Yeah. We'll also be sending, if you signed in and provide an email address, we'll be sending information out, or I personally will be sending information out with the video recording of the presentation. So if you get that email and you want to respond to me directly, I'll be happy to connect with you, and then we can stay in touch about as we find out more. There's a question back here.
Years ago, when they used to work on the bridge, they found a hawk's nest. I still see the hawk flying around, so if you guys check to see if that's gonna be a holdup, because that held them up for several months, getting that, work started.
Yeah, the question was about a hawk's nest that historically has been on the bridge there, that has, has held up work in the past. Yeah, we were aware of that historically, and in planning, we were out there for the inspection in November, and we're looking carefully for that. It seems like the hawk has moved on. There was no signs of a nest or a hawk. I don't know, how long ago did you last? Okay, yeah. Yeah, hopefully the hawk's found a good tree and has moved on. But we're not aware of any nest at the bridge at this point.
I'm having trouble hearing that.
So I think the question was about community protest against the contractors, and I think the answer for not securing jobs, and I think we would hope to stem that off in advance of that so that it doesn't come to that kind of community action. Yeah, and like Zach said, I think we'll be looking into ways that we can involve the community. I think I heard take your time but hurry up, is that right?
So the comment, sorry, the comment is about the condition of some of the roads on this side of the bridge that kind of limit the detour potential. And the city is aware that some of these roads have been closed in recent years. We're doing what we can where funding is available to get these reopened. Some of them will not be reopened, but as we, in the years ahead, as we're digging deeper into the design work for this project, we will be looking more closely at the detour options, trying to find something that works for everybody. Correct. So at the moment, we have. Right. Yeah. The question was about all the potholes on the bridge deck, and we did kind of a comprehensive pothole blitz. Was it 2 years ago now? And that's already starting to show signs of age. So we're working with our folks in DPW, reporting things as they open up. And we'll be keeping a close eye on the bridge deck between now and the start of the construction project.
If you do see any potholes on the bridge or anywhere, put it 311
And I'll repeat that for the room. If you have, if you see any potholes on the bridge or off the bridge, use the 311 system. It's a great way to get it reported to the crews in DPW who can patch that up. So the comment was about what to do if you get a flat tire from the condition of a road. Unfortunately, I am not immediately familiar with what processes are in place.
So I think you were asking about a street that, Charles Street in particular, and you contacted PennDOT, is that right? So, okay. So again, I think if you put that pothole in the 311 system, we can find out if it's a state-owned or a city-owned road. Say that again. Okay, and yeah, through the 311 system, you can submit pictures through the online form. If you're able to use that, you can submit pictures there as well. I'm going to give you my card after the meeting, and you and I can connect and talk about some of this, and I'll try and connect you with some resources. We have a question over here. Was the question how safe it's going to be to walk across during construction? Yes. So the question is, how safe will that be?
Yes, it'll be perfectly safe. We'll make sure that there's a good barrier between the two. The sidewalk is independent of what's being worked on the other side. That's actually supported on the outside of the bridge. So there's no risk to the sidewalk being compromised by the work on the other side of the bridge.
I had a question for the room here. Kind of curious how everyone crosses the bridge today, and if there's specific bus routes that you guys rely on. So as a show of hand, who here walks across the bridge on a regular basis? Just a few people are walking across the bridge. Okay. Who here is dependent on various buses that operate either from Perrysville or from the surrounding area? A handful of people? Okay. And then who here is just frequently driving across the bridge? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Right. So we have been, as I said at the start of this, this bridge has been, I've been working closely on this bridge for the last few years, and I see it as a priority to make sure that we can maintain access for those who live in Northview Heights, access over to Perrysville, and both on foot, by transit. We've got the firehouse on one side of the bridge, and I think they predominantly are serving the opposite side. So we're doing everything we can to make sure the bridge is safe for fire trucks to cross, because we can't interrupt service to the north side like that. So, if you just we appreciate you all for coming out. We appreciate your concern about the bridge and your interest in the project. If you have any more comments or questions, I think we'll all be sticking around. But if there's anything we can do, please reach out over the next, while we're working through design. And our goal is to, get into construction as efficiently as possible and to keep the project as, move through it as quick as possible. So the comment was about the Fern Hollow Bridge, which, that collapsed, and 11 months later, we had a bridge reopened to traffic. And that was a terrible incident and not the best way to start a bridge project. And also, as a result of the state of emergency, we had cooperation at every level of local, regional, and national government, and support across agencies, and the project was pushed to the front of the line. The reality is the city, our department, is working on 14, 16, I think 15 other rehabilitation projects similar to this one on just our bridges. And in order to advance all these projects, both our cooperation with the state and our consultants, these things, unfortunately, it feels like it takes a long time, but at the end of the day, we're getting the best possible product. So we thank you for your patience.
All right. So I think we're wrapping up. If folks have any additional questions, the project team is here. You're welcome to come up and talk to us. There is some food at the back table here. Encourage you to meet and talk with the resources that we've brought out. Again, Caldwell with Learn and Earn in the mayor's office, folks with public safety and city parks as well. I think in particular recruiting for lifeguards this summer. Thank you all.